people feel something about you. The ask is crucial because I see a lot of givers that don't ask. The best opportunities are discovered, they're not applied for. Well, welcome to the Who You Know show, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your wealth, health, business, career, your relationships, and definitely in your life. And we're here to help you to level up, to get noticed, and to connect to your next opportunity. So today's episode is for anyone facing a challenging layoff, right? It might feel like everything's starting to fall apart, but actually everything might just be falling in place. So I want you to stick with us because we're going to be exploring some bold, really creative, and some unconventional strategies today that really will help you to turn this setback really into a comeback or a set up. Okay, I call this the slingshot effect. If you're going to go backwards, look, we need to whoosh. All right, we need to launch forward. So super excited about today's episode. But here's the deal. Being laid off, it's not just about losing your paycheck. That's a big part of it, right? It's the number one reason why we go to work in the first place, right?
Yep. Much more, though.
But, oh my gosh, for anybody that's ever been let go, you'll know, right? It's like a piece of your identity is being stripped away. Like I remember when I got let go at Harley Davidson, right? When I was working at Harley, that was a piece of my identity.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, big brand.
Well, think about it. The culture of that company when you're working there, that's why people buy that. The people buy those motorcycles because of the culture. So when you're working there, it's like you're ingrained in this culture. And when I left, it was like, my identity was being stripped.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by brand, right? It's the lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle, brand, culture. And I remember that. And, when I transitioned into the automotive industry, I was actually in a much more professional environment, much more successful environment. But now I'm selling Hyundais, right? Well, not as cool, right?
Nah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the brand was so much more. There was so much more identity in the Harley Davidson brand and logo, the bar and shield, versus the Hyundai. But actually, Hyundai was a much better career, much better platform for me. But it didn't feel that way. I was actually kind of like ashamed to tell people, right? Because I was selling Harleys, and that was cool. What do you do? What do you do? Oh, I sell Harleys. Oh, that's really cool. Now, fast forward a little bit. Hey, what do you do? Oh, I sell Hyundais. Oh, this doesn't sound as cool.
Well, yeah, I think paired into that as well is, especially if you're caught off guard, right? You don't see it coming. A lot of companies nowadays, big corporations, they might message or telegraph, right, that some things are going to happen. But for some people, they're just totally blindsided. And I think that definitely plays into just way more than the paycheck impact, right?
Yeah. But, like I said, the identity. The identity gets stripped away. And so for a lot of people listening right now, I know you're going through this. I know you've experienced it, right? And if you feel like your identity is shaken, I want you to know that this actually might be the exact thing that you need to launch and to really rediscover your purpose, okay? So in this episode, I'm going to show you a few things. We're going to talk about how to navigate the emotional storm of job loss, right? Because you're on an emotional roller coaster right now. We know that.
Yep. A lot of uncertainty.
Some days are great. Some days are awful. Most days are awful, right? And so you're on this emotional roller coaster. You're dealing with rejection, all of that stuff. But I'm going to show you how to flip the narrative from fear to fuel, okay? We're actually going to show you that today. I'm going to show you how to build a strategic comeback plan, all right, rooted in action. And we're going to show you how to do this authentically. So you're actually going to be you. And we're going to show you how to really enhance your personal brand, okay, because that's what's going to help you to get noticed. And then last but not least, in this episode, we're going to talk about the hidden job market, right? Well, that's where most of the opportunities are, right? They don't post this stuff. I mean, a lot of it's posted online, but a lot of the stuff you see online is really not. I mean, a lot of times they're not even really hiring for that position. They're just trying to get their feelers out.
Well, and paired with that, creating opportunity,
Oh yeah.
right? Like part of the hidden job market.
Yeah, we don't want to just sit back and wait. We want to create. I love that. Yep, we're going to create some opportunities. So make sure you stick with us in this episode. But let's first dive into the landscape, because we want to talk about what's actually happening, right, in the current landscape of careers and layoffs and all that stuff. So I know, Mark, you've got a couple of things that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I know right now you guys are probably feeling it, and some of it might be headlines, some of it might be, just the kind of like sixth sense y'all might have with the job market, but it's real. I mean, in March 2025, we saw a significant increase in cuts. Particularly because of what's going on in the government, right? I mean, Doge and some of the trimming that department has done. So a lot of it's at the government level, but, those are included in the job report numbers and all of that. So, that is partly fueling what the perception is. There's a lot of uncertainty about, where the job market's going. I mean, if the economic conditions don't improve, if they get worse, companies are tightening up, and we've seen that too. Right?
Yep.
Hiring freezes. They might not be laying off currently, but hiring freezes.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Yep. And what's the latest and greatest? AI, right? Automation. So we're seeing that less job openings, and some of that's attributed to companies foraying into the artificial intelligence space and trying to automate a lot of jobs. I mean, look, there's a lot of things that we as people work at and do that could be automated.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Pretty scary. So and I think there's other factors, right? Like one of the things that we've seen is the generational variances, right? We're going to talk about some of the challenges that people face and tie it in with maybe like ageism, but even the youngsters out there, Gen Z, and the folks that are getting into the job market. A lot of those folks were focused into like technology, right? Into some of these sectors that are getting impacted right now by what's going on.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, there was a lot of layoffs going on right now. We've got Automatic, which is the parent company of WordPress. 16% of its workforce was cut off, right? So that's like about 280 people. You've got here in Texas where we're at, there was over 3,400 people that were laid off in March from Dickies Workwear and ProBar. But look, regardless of what's going on, if this is you, I want you to know, like, you're not alone, okay? It's happening all over the place. But you're also not stuck, okay? You're also not stuck. And it may feel like that. You may feel like right now the world's crushing and crumbling all around you, right? But we've got to just reframe your mindset, okay? So we want to talk about a couple of things. We're gonna get into emotional resilience and mindset shifts, okay? Because your mind's so powerful, right? This goes back to the glass half empty or the glass half full.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you always say, your perception's your reality.
Your perception's your reality, and whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you are correct. Okay? You're correct. Listen, if you say this isn't going to work for me, well then you're pretty much guaranteed it won't.
Right. You've already defeated yourself.
Yep.
It's that self-defeatist, mentality.
Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. Do you remember, I think it was Sandy Sampson?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how I remember that name.
Yep.
Because I don't remember names. But I remember that name. Because I remember we taught her at one of our workshops how to use a tool called BombBomb to really stand out in her job search. And a lot of times when we teach this tool to people, they're kind of like, oh, wow, they're excited about it. But there's still a lot of doubt, right? But with her, she like spoke it into existence. Like she said, oh, I get a 2-week free trial of this thing.
Yep.
Right? She goes, I'm going to land my job in 2 weeks because I get that free trial, right? She's like, I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. She spoke it out and she went hard with it. She was like, like she did what we asked her to do, which was 2 videos a day, every day. Right. And, anyway, no, I'm sorry, not 2 videos a day. I take that back. It's 10 videos a day. 10 videos a day every day for 14 days is 140 videos. 50% engagement rate is 70 conversations with decision makers. So it's one of the strategies we're going to talk about. But the point of the story is her perception and her became her reality. Yeah. I remember her running up to me. We did a career search event. She ran up to me and she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I just landed. I just got the job. I just got the call. She was all excited. And she was like, and guess what? Today was the last day of my free trial.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
She was so excited. And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. She spoke it out. So again, mindset, because I have other people that get in their own head about this strategy.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What are other people going to think about me?
They're in their own way.
Yeah, exactly. So your mind is a very, very powerful tool, right? So first of all, one of the first things that we want to do is, again, we want to talk about emotional resilience, because your emotions impact how you're going to navigate this whole thing. I promise. If your emotions are in the dump and you're depressed and you're sad and it's just, oh, woe is me, and it's like you have no hope, no confidence, I mean, everything's going to be shattered. You won't do what's necessary, okay? The difference between Sandy Sampson was her emotional bank account was full.
Right.
Right?
Well, and what do I always say? Attitude.
Yeah,
right?
that's
her,
yeah.
Yep. So her attitude. And I remember she even humbled herself. She actually took a job selling cars. Remember that?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
she took a job. She's like, hey, I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And so that was her attitude, and that translated right into, hey, I'm gonna take this bomb. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna leverage it. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Right. So it was a can-do attitude.
Right. Can do. That's what it is. And again, that comes from it's mindset, but it's also your emotional resilience. Where are you emotionally? Right. Acknowledge the grief, because this is a loss, right? It is a loss. Just like, if someone dies in your family or whatever, it's a loss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Job loss is more than losing your job.
It's more than losing your job. It is a true loss. People go through the stages of grief. And so acknowledge the grief. That's number one. Acknowledge it. It's okay to feel the feelings. It's okay. It's human. Right? I'm not saying don't be sad. Don't be, like, suck it up, buttercup. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying feel it. Feel it hard. Feel it fast. Okay? And then get yourself back up. Because, like, I don't care if you need to go scream, cry, yell, cuss, freaking throw something, break something. Go to one of those rooms.
Oh, where you break stuff up?
Where you break stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think they got businesses like that where you can go and just destroy things. But the point is all of that emotion's all inside of you, okay? And you've got to release it to be able to have an empty vessel that God can pour into. You have all that negativity, all of those emotions. They're not positive emotions. Those emotions, that grief, that sadness, that depression, that anxiety or fear, all of that's not positive emotion. That's all negative emotion. So you need to release it in order to receive the good things that God's got for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get that out.
Yep. Get it out. Well, here's something that I've thought of, and this just brings that to light right now, which is the correlation between, like, bringing up children, raising children, right? And so I know there's a lot of viewers who are parents out there, and one of the things, and I've got younger kids, so I'm getting a lot of this information, right, in my feeds and all that. And a lot of the tips and strategies are, you don't want to suppress your child's emotions. And so we're all kind of like maybe a little, and don't take this the wrong way, but childish, right, in the way that we as adults even handle things like job loss. And so if you have all of these strong emotions, right, and all of the parenting tutorials out there say, you don't want to suppress their emotions, you want to validate their emotions,
Right.
but also then use those emotions in a positive way, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have these emotions,
Right.
but it's what you do with them,
Right.
right?
I was actually talking with somebody yesterday because since we're on emotions, let's talk about a quick story. So yesterday we had Coach's Corner, my mastermind, where I teach the job seekers these strategies on how to get back to work. And in that meeting, we had four job landings, which is actually, I mean, we'll get 1 and 2s, here and there, but to have 4 in the same class back to back, so literally was one story, second story, and they're telling their testimonial about everything and how it happened and some of the strategies I'm teaching them that helped them get there. And it was like it was a very emotional moment for me because like the first one I'm like, yeah. The second one I'm like, hell yeah. The third one I'm like, man, this is freaking awesome. The fourth one I'm like, it like hit me and was like, wow. I got emotional and I started crying on the call of joy and happiness, and like I'm watching this transformation of these people, right? And it was a beautiful thing. Well, anyways, and I was talking to this woman about it yesterday, and I told her the story, and she was like, yeah, it's just totally okay for men to cry and stuff like that, and all this. And I said, yeah, but you also don't want a bunch of simps either. Right. So the point I'm bringing up, why I say that is, you want to validate your emotions, you want to feel your emotions, but we don't want, oh, woe is me, crybaby stuff either. Okay. Every time when I go into Coach's Corner, I tell everybody, hey, no negativity allowed here. Positive thoughts only. I want to hear positive things. I want to hear what's working. I want to hear success. I want to hear the thing. You may be feeling negative, but this isn't the space for it.
Yeah, it's not an unloading session.
Right. So there are spaces where you may need to unload,
Sure.
and I am saying get it out. But I'm not saying there's this old saying, when you're going through hell, don't pitch a tent. Okay? Keep going. Get it out of you.
Moving. Yeah.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
Don't pitch a tent in hell and stay.
Yeah.
Like, keep going, keep moving. So get it out of your system, release it. Okay, and it's okay to release it. For the men out there, you can cry. Hey, I'm gonna give you permission. Go ahead, cry. All right, it's cool. Men cry. All right, it's cool. Let it out. Get it out. Okay,
But don't dwell on it.
but don't sit there in it. Okay, we don't need no simp, whiny baby stuff going on here. You
well,
need
it
to
just doesn't. There's a point where you have to release it, but
then you
there's
become a
point,
victim.
Right. There's a point where it's just
What are you gonna do now?
stepping backwards. It's not moving forward. To your point.
Yeah, what are you gonna do now? Like, and nobody's gonna come save you.
Right.
You got to save yourself.
Nothing is. If you're not making change, nothing is going to change.
Hey, mic drop for that. Okay. So that's number one. Acknowledge it. Get it out of your system. It is painful, but don't let it define you. Let it refine you. Okay? I want you to let it refine you. This is your chance to ask this question. What does this season make possible that wasn't possible before? Right? Where in your old job, where were you unhappy? Where were you constricted? Where were you limited at your previous employer? I want you to think about those things, because you now have an opportunity to completely rewrite that story, right? And it's looking at it from that lens. This is an opportunity, right? So I love that. Okay, you didn't lose your value. You lost the vehicle. Okay, you lost the vehicle, but now it's time to build a better vehicle. All right, you lost the Hyundai, and now it's time to go get a Mustang. All right, you know what I'm saying?
I want a Mustang.
You want a Mustang?
Yeah, I want a Mustang.
I go for old school.
Yeah.
Let me go for an old school, but anyway.
Well, so opportunity, right? Maybe we're gonna talk a little bit more about this, but to your point, if you had some things, and we all probably do, right? There are some things that even those of you that are still working and quote unquote happy with your job, there are some things that don't make you happy that you would change.
Yeah.
And in this season of life of your career transition, a lot of us are victims of, right, habit. And so if you stay in the same kind of role, you might go back and get hired to another company, and you're probably going to have the same challenges or the same things that you dislike. So to your point of opportunity, you may also want to look at not just a job search for the same job, but an actual transition.
I got a great exercise that you just made me think of. Okay, think about this. How many times, and for the audience listening, how many times when you're at work, you have a bad day at work, and you go home and you vent to your spouse or whatever, and you talk about all the negative things. This person, that person, they didn't let me do this, they didn't let me do that, this, whatever come on, son. Mm-hmm. We always go home and we're like, sit there talking about this, blah, 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 blah. Just there's some negativity that's happening at work. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's write all that down. Now's your opportunity to put all that on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And go look at all the negative crap. Okay, put it on a piece of paper and go, yep, that's one. Thank you, God, for releasing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Releasing me from all of that. Right? Now you got no reason to complain.
Yeah. I mean, look, having a list of what you don't want is just as important as having a list of what you do want.
It's so much like dating.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It really is. You have deal breakers. You
Right.
got nice to haves. Right? You got non-negotiables. Right? It's the same. It's very, very similar.
Well, why don't you do this? The next time you get an opportunity and you get an offer, right? Like Ben Franklin it. Make a list of the pros and cons and list all the things and match them up with what you do and don't want.
And see, I feel like people don't do this exercise.
I doubt it.
Because they just want to get back to their income and that's all they're thinking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not really they're not really interviewing these companies like they should be. The non-negotiables, the nice to have. They're not interviewing the company per se. They should be.
Yeah.
They really, really should be.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, look, if you're down to the wire financially.
If you're down to the wire, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and you can't make your next,
But why did you get down to the wire? Why did you get down to the wire? If you got down to the wire, there were some bad decisions that were made prior.
Well, true. But I get the point I'm trying to drive to is, you still don't want to get yourself into a bad situation that you're just going to have to do everything over again. What, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months later?
That's what happens a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because you get desperate, you take just any job.
Yep.
And then it doesn't work out because your performance sucks and they give you the axe again. Okay, your attitude sucks because you're not happy there, right? Lots of things happen. So the important part is, hey, I am for hey, you got to do what you got to do. I get that.
Yeah,
I got that.
For sure.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes. But, let's talk about the decisions that got you in that position in the first place. And now let's make sure that if you got to do what you got to do, and this isn't your forever job, this is just a gap job, let's make sure we make better decisions this time around. That way you have more choice and selection and freedom to be selective.
Right.
The next time.
Right. Well, and if you do have to take the next thing that comes along and it's not your quote unquote ideal job, there are some of the things that you on your do not want list that are present in that job. Now I get it. There's bad bosses, there's toxic work environments, but again, as a new opportunity and with a fresh new attitude, you may be able to change some of those things in that new work environment.
Yeah.
Right? It is a new opportunity.
Yeah, it totally is. You can reinvent yourself completely, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I did that when I left.
It's like going to a new school, right? Your parents move, you were in this high school and you go to a new school. And,
that's a great point.
And nobody knows you at that new school. You can be whoever you want to be at that new school.
Oh, listen. Listen, okay, I'm going in deep. Okay,
All right.
when I was in let's say 10th grade, okay, all the way up, I got in so much trouble growing up when I was living with my mom. I got in so much trouble, in and out of jail, everything. I mean, it was bad as a
Yeah.
juvenile. I did a lot of stupid stuff, and and I was dressing FUBU and Thug Life and gangster Eminem type, Tupac and everything else. I was Thug Life, okay, for real. And that was the environment I was growing up in. I had all these people around me. Anyway, so then I went to jail. Courts forced me to move with my father, and my father takes me to Old Navy. Buys me some brand new clothes. Okay, I didn't have brand new clothes. I was poor. We didn't have no brand new clothes. You know what I'm saying? And so I get brand new clothes. I'm going to go to Old Navy, which is kind of preppier. Like, it's not Thug Life.
Right.
It's
right.
Old Navy.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like,
It's Gap.
yeah, I'm like, cool. And, but I appreciated it. Like, I never had I never got taken into a store to buy new clothes. Are you kidding me? That just didn't happen. So I was like excited about it, Get all these new clothes. I'm like, shoot, I'm looking good. I'm like,
New
But
lease on life.
but I look different. I got to reinvent myself, right? I go to a new school, new clothes, different looking clothes. Like I was looking Thug Life, FUBU, just gangster over here, saggy pants and the whole nine. And then now here I'm looking preppy, and I got to change my identity and reinvent myself,
There you go.
right?
That's exactly it.
It was an opportunity,
Yep.
You
You could have fallen right back into.
I did
also-
resist a little bit.
Well,
there
yeah,
was some
yeah.
resistance, but I was a dumb kid.
Right. We all are. But, again, the point, I guess, to us as adults and changing careers in my comment, too, is, if there are some things that you don't like at the new job that were present in the old job, like you do have the opportunity, you can address it. When you were stuck in the old job, some of those things were just, they were on autopilot. Like it was already too late. In some cases, maybe to change course and change the trajectory of those issues.
Yeah.
But at the new position, again, being the new kid on the block,
Yep.
you have the opportunity to say something happens that you don't like or that doesn't sit well with you. You can be like, hold on. Wait, no. This is not acceptable. This is not what we should be dealing with, right? And you can change that. Like when you were 5, 8, 10 years into the old job, right? And you hadn't said anything. I was like, well, this is, not that you have to succumb to that or just resign yourself to not want change, but the opportunity is much more present in the new job.
Yeah, you got opportunity to change. All right, now let's get into some strategies, okay? I want to talk about some tactical strategies for you to actually go implement right now that can help you to reinvent yourself. Okay? So, number one, we want to talk about personal branding. It's really everything. What is a personal brand? First of all, a personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Okay? I want you to think about that. What do people think about you, right? When people say my name, what comes to mind, right? What are the traits that come to mind? What are the skills that come to mind? Where are the areas I excel, the areas I'm not so good in, right? There are immediate thoughts and perceptions that people have, right? When you see a logo, when you see a McDonald's logo, like what comes to mind? What do you think of when you see the golden arches, right?
Shamrock shakes.
Shamrock Steaks, that's what you think of? I think the ice cream machine's broken.
Yeah. Burgers.
Burgers.
Yeah, people think burgers.
But the point is, it's what do people say about you when you're not in the room? That's your personal brand, right? It's your identity. It's the identity that others hold of you. That is your personal brand. But here's the beautiful thing about that is you can actually shape and mold other people's perception of you. Did you know that? How crazy is that? Like when I changed clothes in being from thug life to preppy, okay? Just by changing clothes and meeting new people, I was able to shift my personal brand and my identity.
In people's perception of you.
Their perception of me, right? So let's talk about that. We need to craft a message, right? And guess what? You get to create the narrative, okay? You get to create the narrative. That's the beautiful thing. So we need to craft a message that shows who you are, right? You get to tell people who you are, what you do, and why you matter, okay? Again, that's who you are, what you do, why you matter. Make people feel something about you, right? They say facts tell and stories sell, okay? So why do stories sell? Because stories create emotion, right? So you want to make people feel something about you because that's emotion, right? What's your emotional identity? When people think about you, what is the emotion that they get, right? I'm thinking of somebody right now, Amberly Lago. Like, when I think about her, it's joy, it's passion, it's excitement, it's this excitement for life, resilience is another thing that I think about. These are all emotions, right?
Yeah. Same Heather Monahan too.
Heather Monahan.
Very similar
Yeah.
thoughts and emotions.
Oh, I think of her, I think confident.
Yeah.
That woman's a
A
bulldozer.
tiger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Confident, like there is this is identity. This is a personal brand.
Yes.
What emotion, when people say your name, what emotion comes to mind?
I think we all see this.
Like I always say, Mark, when I talk about Mark, when I was in Coach's Corner yesterday, and we're talking about virtual introductions.
Right.
Okay. And you're on the list. So I told him, I was like, in order for him to be able to make a connection, you need to be connected with Mark on LinkedIn. Right. And I was like, how many of y'all know Mark in the room? And a bunch of people said yes. And oh, Mark's great, in the chat. And oh, Mark's great. And I said, yeah, for those of you who don't know Mark, I said, he is the nicest guy. He is absolutely 1,000% the nicest guy you've ever met.
Most of the time. A lot of the time.
Most of the time. Until we fight.
Yeah.
But
we're like brothers. So
yeah. But he is. He's literally, I remember I was sick not long ago, and the dude sends me a care package to my door. Right? Like, okay, I could see a woman doing that, okay? But like, this is my brother. My brother sends me a care package to my front door. I'm like, this is the nicest guy. Mark is the nicest freaking guy. Right?
Well, yeah.
Like that's identity. That's like the thing that comes to mind is like, when I think of Mark, I'm like, oh, dude, Mark's like the nicest guy.
You gotta help your brothers out. And I think some of it comes with my personality, but, also my faith, I mean, that's what we're called to do.
Well, I just appreciate it, But again, it goes back to identity. What is your identity? So we want to craft a personal message that shows who you are, what you do, why you matter, and what emotion do you want people to think about when they think about your name?
I was going to say this, and I think that it's important because we see at the national level, right? You see the athletes, you see the entrepreneurs, the people that have a well-established brand, right? And they have brand managers.
Oh yeah,
right? We all, at any level, need to have brand management. You need to have a brand manager. That usually is yourself.
Yeah, it's yourself.
And so, but here's another thing is you can also build advocates for you to help you manage your brand, and that's through networking and relationships. So that's also key. And I know, some of you are introverted, maybe not as gregarious as other people are, but
gregarious. Gregarious, that word gregarious.
Outgoing.
Gregarious.
Right? Likes to be around. You don't like to be around people as much, maybe as other folks do, but we all need to leverage relationships, right?
Of course,
to help manage your brand. That's a tip right there.
Yeah. Well, but what do you mean by that? What do you mean leverage relationships to help manage your brand?
Well,
dive deeper into that.
So, like for you, right?
Yes.
You're a career strategist.
Yeah.
You're a career transition expert.
Right.
When you're out talking to people, when you're networking with people or helping people, right? You're one of the things that you do, maybe not your ultimate objective, is to though get people that understand that to help other people, and it's almost like exponentially expanding your reach, right? And so that's what I mean by that is you can leverage your relationships to help expand your reach. For me, if it's like being nice or being amicable, right? That's kind of like my personality in some ways. Like for you, you're out telling people, right? And so
right. So I'm your walking, talking billboard. So I'm your commercial, like I just did. I just said Mark's the nicest guy, right? Like that's probably not something you would say about yourself.
Right.
You wouldn't walk around and be like, I'm the nicest guy. But if you can get advocates, to your point, if you can get your network out there walking around saying whatever, again, what you want them to say, again, think about what you want people to say about you, and now go get others to say it about you.
Right.
That's a good point. That's a great point. And I do that actually very well. So, I get people out there we have this thing called the Pay It Forward campaign, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm getting people to refer me, but what are they referring me for? They're referring me for the thing I want to be known for.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's a great point what you're bringing up. I love that. Okay. So again, personal branding, very important, guys. You need to be really thinking about those things, right? Again, who you are, what do you do, why you matter, what emotion do you want people to be feeling when they talk about your name. Let's talk about skill enhancement. I see this a lot, especially because we deal with people that are, typically older workers, 50 plus usually in that range.
Yeah.
And so, look, you may have been working at a company, 10, 15, 20 years, and maybe you need to get some new skills. Okay. The market has changed a little bit now, and you're now on the open market, and maybe your skills are a little outdated. Okay. But here's the deal. You don't need to go out there and try to be a Swiss Army knife and get 10 new skills. Okay. What you need to do is focus on one at a time. Like, look at a new skill in your industry, whatever that is, right? And commit to it and go get it done. Okay. They say, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So you may look at a resume or a job description. You may look at this job description out there and you're like, man, I don't have all these skills. Like, this is what I need. Oh man, you get overwhelmed. Right? Hey, totally get that. But one at a time. Okay. So I want you to start enhancing your skills. And again, this is how you can reinvent yourself, right? You're not going to be able to get a different result doing the same thing. You got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So skill enhancement, I think that's really important. And then to your point about networking, right? Networking is the next one. It's really important, but network with intention. Okay? When people say networking, right? A lot of times they're like, okay, yeah, I get it. But what does that mean? Mark, what's your definition of networking? What does networking mean to you? What's your definition?
Making connections to establish a relationship for developing an opportunity, whether that be business or personal.
Okay, I love that. Webster's definition of networking is cultivating. I love that word, cultivating. All right, because when you think about cultivating, when you cultivate crop, what do you have to do? You have to water it. Mm-hmm. You got to put the right sunlight, the right soil, like cultivating productive relationships for the purpose of business or obtaining a job.
Job search.
Right.
So I want to clarify too, right? Developing the relationship for an opportunity or goal, right? That could be you. It's not one way.
Well,
that's my point.
Bingo. Cultivating. Okay. When you think about the word cultivating, do you think taking or giving?
Giving.
Mm-hmm. Right? I got
pouring into.
Pouring into.
Yep.
Okay, cultivation of productive relationships. A productive relationship is two ways. Okay, it's not a one-way street.
Yep.
It's I'm going to pour into someone else. I'm going to give. My definition of networking is give first and then ask. It's give first, then ask. It's not give with expectation. I have no expectation that anything happens, but you know what? I'm going to give, and then I'm going to ask. And you know what? Because I've given so much, guess what the universe does?
It provides.
It provides. It's like, man,
God provides.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, so many of us are so hyper-focused on the immediate need, and the immediate need is our own need. And so when we go into a networking environment, again, your focus is your reality, and that's your focus. Your focus is who can help me.
Take.
Yep. It's
Take,
not
take, take,
how
take,
can I help somebody else, and by helping somebody else, pouring into them, maybe at some point in time, they'll be able to help me in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And it may not be now, it may not be for my immediate need now, but I still can develop a relationship, because you never know when that relationship is going to blossom into
something huge.
Yeah.
So as a practical example and story, when we first started going to Frisco Connect, there's this group of job seekers there. Look, this is my first meeting there. I had never even come across this job search stuff, okay? Didn't know how to help a job seeker at all, right? All I know is I saw myself in these people, and I wanted to help. I didn't know how to help, but I wanted to help. So, all right, well, let me just be a fly on the wall and figure out what's actually working. How are these people getting the jobs? And I found out, well, it was always who you know. Surprise, kind of the name of the show now, fast forward. But it was networking that got them the job. It was connections, relationships, people. So I thought about it, and I said, okay, wow. If that's how they're getting the job, okay, again, I don't know how to help, but I'm like, okay, that's the solution. That's how people are landing, right? So if that's how they're landing, let me see if I can go build a network to connect them, right? So I went out and I started connecting with recruiters and hiring managers and career coaches and anybody that was able to support that group. So myself, was I able to help them? Could I get them a job? Did I know the strategies? At that point, no, I didn't. But by just connecting dots.
Yeah, we were just facilitating the information.
Facilitating the connection. And basically that's saying, hey, I know you need something, right? I know you need something. Let me connect you with
it was the
so-and-so. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the whole...
But because I did that, like, let's just say you just got hail on your roof, and I'm not a roofer, but I know a roofer.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, man, I just got my hail, man. It's a hail. And I'm like, dude, I know
I just had mine done.
I know a phenomenal, chicken boom. Did I just help you? I did. I just helped you. You had a problem. Your problem was I need a roof. I helped facilitate the solution, right? So helping people doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do the work. Can you just connect dots?
Sure.
You're still helping. You're providing immense value. If I'm sitting here going, like, let's just say, I'm a business owner and we have a massive problem in our business and something's on fire, okay? Something's on fire, okay? Like, here's a practical example right now. So Mark we're hiring right now someone to support Mark in some of the service work in our business, right? That's a fire. We have a fire, okay? Well, what if someone came up and said, I know the perfect person, and boom, here they are, boom, we hire them. Man, they solved a major problem for us.
Absolutely.
Just by connecting the dot.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the point is, that's networking. Networking is not necessarily like
what can I get out of it?
It's giving. It's figuring out how to solve someone else's problems. How can you make their life easier, right? what can you do to simplify their life? What can you do to make it easier, more painless? Can you relieve stress? What can you do to help that person? That's networking.
I think it also
But then ask.
Well, you have to ask, right? Because if you
have to
don't
ask.
ask, the answer is always no.
Well,
but
let's hold on before you get to that. That is a crucial point I want to make. The ask is crucial because I see a lot of givers that don't ask.
mm-hmm.
Like I remember, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was years ago. There was a gentleman at Frisco Connect, and he was like a greeter. He was doing the name tags and all of that, and he was there. I think it was Mendolia or something like that. I don't remember. Anyways, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was there every meeting. Okay, handing out name tags and shaking hands, smile on his face. I thought he worked for the church. I thought he was volunteering work for the church, and I find out, I'm telling you, a year later, that the guy was actually in job search. I did not know that. I said, oh my gosh. Literally when I found out, it was like a year later, I said, dude, you're searching?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What a miss. Shout out. I think George Mendiola.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. I remember going, dude, everybody here should know that.
Yeah.
Everyone here should know that.
It was not apparent.
No. I thought he worked for the church or was volunteering. Like, he was giving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
There was no ask. I was like, dude, you should be handing out your business cards as you're handing their name tag. Hand your business card and say, hey, if you know anyone, let me know. Boom, boom, boom. Like, come on, man. Give and ask.
Well, I not opposite of what you're saying. I mean, it ties in with what you're saying. But when you're giving, right, without the expectation of getting in return, you still have to ask. But then when something happens, even if you don't ask, I think that helps with your attitude, right? In the blessings that you get back, because you may have a time where you may have an obstacle that you're trying to cross, like a job search, and somebody comes out of the blue that you've helped, and you may not have had an opportunity to ask, and they're like, "Hey, I saw you are open to work. Like, what's going on?"
Listen, so I just had this thought. It just hit me. Okay, giving without asking is like watering without a seed. Okay, you're just watering the ground.
Right.
It's like, again, the example of George Mendiola we were just talking about. He was handing out a name tag. He was volunteering, handing out a name tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giving.
Mm-hmm.
But what he should have done was hand out a name tag and give a business card, which is planting a seed, right? Planting a seed. There's no expectation that seed's gonna grow, but you got to put it in the ground,
right? Like an oh, by the way.
Hey, oh, by the way. So it's again, if you're not gonna ask, that's like watering where there's no seed.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, anyway, I think that's good. So again, guys, here are some strategies. Remember, we talked about personal branding. We talked about skill enhancement, right? We talked about networking with intention. Why do we do this? Okay, we're going to talk about the leveraging the hidden job market now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The hidden job market, because 70 to 80% of jobs are not posted online, right? We just now posted that assistant role that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. We just now posted that. But we've been hiring for that. We've been looking for that for a while.
Yeah.
And we just didn't post it.
Well, the story comes to mind, and again, I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but I think her name was Heather, right? And she was at Frisco Connect. She was in the Career Transition Network, and she got to a point where she was like, I'm not applying for jobs. She took the networking strategy, and she said, hey, I'm going to network, and I'm going to talk to people, and I'm not even going to give them my resume or apply for the job until they ask me for it. She's just going to network and find opportunities.
Yes.
Hidden job market, right?
Yes.
So she was creating her opportunities.
Yes. Right. The best opportunities are discovered. They're not applied for. Okay. This is like Mike Materian.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He does networking and personal branding and marketing very well because I taught him all of those things, and he does it very well, so well that the opportunities come to him, and he has conversations with people, right? And to your point, right, he doesn't apply. He never applies until they ask him to.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, we want to talk to you about this position, right? I want you to think about it. If you were working, you're not applying for jobs.
Not necessarily.
Have you ever been working at a company and a recruiter hit you up? Right? They hit you up and they're like, hey, they saw something they wanted you. They're like, hey, they want to try and steal you away from that company and they want to recruit you into another company, right? Did you apply? No. Right? They just saw something. They discovered you. That is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be discovered. You don't want to be applying and chasing. You want to attract. You don't want to chase. You want to attract opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So right now you're in this mode of job search and you're constantly chasing. Okay? No. I want to attract. Okay? The world is abundant. And you need to attract all these opportunities to you, but you have to do it the right way. So let's get into that. Let's talk about what are some ways to attract, right? Well, we talked about personal branding, but what about marketing, right? If nobody knows you, then nobody flows you, okay? That's Grant Cardone. If nobody knows you, then nobody flows you, okay? Also, where attention goes, money flows. Right? I want you to think about that. So are you garnering any attention? Does anybody know you exist? Or are you just applying online and it's going into the black hole?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
There's been times, my wife actually, Uni, has experienced this where there wasn't a position, but she had connections. And in her case, it was a girl that a lady that she had gone to school with to get her master's degree. And so she just built that relationship. And this goes back to the networking side. What? Who you know? Full circle? But that's exactly how some of these people get landed is there's not even a position, but through a relationship, somebody says, hey, we need that person. Mm-hmm. And we need them so bad that we're going to create we don't even have a job position for them, but we want them.
Right.
We can't let them go.
Correct. And boom.
You got to make that's part of the branding too. Mm-hmm. You got to have your brand to the point where people understand what you do and what value you add.
So bottom line, okay, again, to your point of full circle, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And who you know is about relationships. The game isn't job boards.
No.
The game is relationships, okay? This ain't checkers.
Yeah.
It's chess.
This ain't how do I beat the applicant tracking system.
Oh, yeah. I get all of that.
That's a game.
Let me just I like that you brought that up. Guess what? I don't care what you do with your resume. You're so focused on your resume that you're missing the whole game. You're literally missing the whole game. You're like, oh, I got to do this. I'm going to chat GPT my resume. I'm going to keywords. I heard somebody just the other day talking about stuffing it with white letters for the keywords and the job description. And I'm like, dude, your focus is just in the wrong space.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's also, by the way, if that works, great, cool. But if they catch it, you're an automatic. They're gonna can you. They're gonna get rid of you. They're gonna throw you in the junk pile just because you're trying to game the system, right? And stuff it full of it breaks trust immediately. So don't do that, guys. That's bad.
Oh yeah, no.
And there's a lot of that going on right now with ChatGPT. People are using it to be an exact match, and so companies are like, there is a trust issue.
Right. Well, there's the old saying, if it's too good to be true.
Right. So they're looking at this thing right now. Companies are very skeptic because, again, we've got now ChatGPT and technology that's making you a perfect match, and you know you dang well ain't no perfect match.
It's like my kids would say, that's sus.
That's sus. Yeah, that's sus. You sus.
Yeah.
Okay, you coming in here. That's like, okay, when you go on a date and they're picture perfect and everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And I'm going,
Bruh.
sus. I just had that. I just had that.
Oh, you got catfished?
Bro, no.
Oh.
I got love bombed.
Oh, okay.
I got love bombed.
Oh, okay.
And I have never, ever, love bombing is typically a thing that men do. I have never been love bombed by a woman. She love bombed me so hard and then pulled the rug. Like, I mean, she was talking about, we could go into this. She was talking about marriage and baby and love you and all this stuff so quick.
Yeah.
And put this picture perfect image and everything and was doing just everything perfect. She was doing everything perfect. I was like, I started to fall for all of it. She love bombed me so hard, I was falling for it. And then she pulled the rug. I was like, wow, there's something wrong there. Right?
Yeah.
And I figured out what it is.
Yeah.
Typically, that's a narcissistic behavior. It's a controlling thing. There's a deep insecurity inside, and they want control.
Yeah. That's like a sales pitch.
It's so hard.
It's a sales pitch.
Yeah. So anyway, that just happened. But it's the same thing. I'm telling you, dating and job search is so closely related. And so when you go in and you're trying to be picture perfect, right? Again, matching up your resume with ChatGPT to try to be picture perfect, you're playing the wrong game. Authenticity is what's going to win this game.
I've got a tip.
And relationships.
It ties into this because gaming the system, tactical things that you're trying to learn, how to interview better, how to get through the applicant tracking system, all that, right? I read an article recently. It was actually just this week, and it talks about soft skills. And in the article, it was saying soft skills shouldn't be called soft skills. There are actually hard skills because not everybody has them, right? And so you need to develop and focus more on those because, look, on paper, if you look perfect, that's great. That might get your foot in the door, but you can also create your own opportunities like we're talking about.
Yep.
Right? And that comes through those quote-unquote soft skills.
Well, yeah. Let me tell you what the most valuable skill on the planet is, okay? And it's a soft skill. Communication, okay? With communication comes influence. With influence comes relationships, okay? You're able to persuade. You're able to influence. You're able to build relationships, connect. Listen, with great communication, you can have anything you want in your life. Think about the most successful people that you know of. They're all good communicators. They're great communicators.
Yeah.
They change the world. World changers are great communicators.
I think number 2 would be adaptability, which ties in with communication. Be able to communicate effectively is adaptation.
Have you ever met someone that is they have so much influence, so much, they're such a great communicator and they have so much influence that if they asked you to do something, like, you would just do it. You know what I'm talking about? And not in a negative way, in a positive way. The first person that comes to my mind is Mike Scoville, right? But what does he also do? He builds a relationship. He gives. He's a servant leader.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's a phenomenal communicator. The guy is just amazing. And he asks, I'm there. Like, I'm not going to question it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
But that's because he's great with communication. Because if you're not great with communication, you won't have great impact in your influence. Right?
Right. Well, good communication also creates likability.
Right. 100%. 100%. So, guys, it's all about relationships. Let's also talk about some other strategies. Warm introductions, okay? Over cold resumes all day long.
All day, every day.
Okay? You need to get referred. Stop just applying online. It's not working for you, okay? I want you to start doing more informational interviews. I want you to start having conversations with people that work inside that company. Okay, wherever you want to go, I want you to start talking to people that work there. And I don't care if they're an assistant or the CEO. You need to figure out how to have conversation with people inside the organization. If you can have conversations with decision makers, that's even better, right? Like the recruiters, the hiring managers, the CEO, people like that, people in the position of power, great. But don't discount the person that's the assistant.
Right.
She's the gatekeeper.
Right.
Guess who she's hanging out with? The CEO.
Well, here's a tip on that, right? Having these informational interviews is, oftentimes people are just going at LinkedIn, invite, message, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that goes nowhere. You're just spinning your wheels. Sometimes it's effective, right? Sometimes you get lucky. But if you're not having luck there, right, or through some of those channels, how about going to, and if it's a big enough company, one of the company's events or one of the things that the company sponsors where there's going to be people from the company there.
That's great.
Maybe you go, like we're here in North Dallas, right? And so what's in Plano? Toyota, right? There's tons of like restaurants and supporting businesses around Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Go eat lunch at Chick-fil-A right outside of Toyota and bump into people there, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I just was walking the other day through Walmart, and this guy stops me, and this was just yesterday. This guy stops me, and he's like, "What are you looking for?" Because I was kind of like looking around. It's just some guy, and he was like, "Oh, well, I think you're close. I think it's right over there." Well, I see him at the front at the cash register checking out, and he strikes up a conversation with me. And so he's an entrepreneur. We're going to have some coffee, but just something like that, right? You don't have to have this intentional, like formal set up this informational interview.
Well, I got you, but also I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend people go just to.
Well, I'm saying
Chick-fil-A.
if that doesn't work, try the conventional first.
Go where people are. Go to the events where the people are. Get in the room where the people are. Sure. Yep. But go sit down at Chick-fil-A and just hope and pray that somebody sits down and it's somebody that you need to talk to. No,
right.
No, I don't recommend that.
That's a second resort. That's like
not even a third resort. I would never tell somebody to go sit down at a Chick-fil-A and hope and pray that somebody's just going to sit down there. And no, there's a better use of your time. I promise you that.
I'm just saying wherever you're at, if you're out in the area of that company, look for opportunities.
Well, look for opportunities, sure.
Right.
But I like what you said the first part where you said go to where the people are.
Yeah, go to company event.
Do a little bit. I would much rather see somebody take a little time to do a little research to go find out where those people actually are than sit down in a restaurant and hope and pray somebody sits down next to them.
I'm just using that as an example. But look for opportunities.
Bad example.
Be in the vicinity. No, it's not a bad example.
It's a bad example.
Be in the vicinity of the area where those employees are at.
I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? It may not be a Chick-fil-A. It may be something else, another business.
How about this? If you're going to eat lunch anyways, go where maybe somebody will bump into you.
Yeah, across the street from the company. Yeah,
I got you.
That's what my point is.
If you're going to eat lunch anyways, sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take my time out to go do that intentionally just to be like...
Well, sure. And especially if you're a job seeker and you got budget issues.
Dude, come on, man. Okay, so let's talk about some strategies now, okay? Because this episode, listen, this is a battle cry. We're listen. I gotta help you recover your income, okay? We're gonna flip the script right now from why me, okay? From why me to what now? I want you to think about that. Not this, oh, woe is me stuff, okay? How about what now? What's the difference? The difference is you're not being reactive. It's about being magnetic. You're attracting opportunity, okay? What now? What am I going to do, right? And I want you to attract opportunity by showing up. That's taking action, by being visible. Again, if nobody knows you, nobody flows you, okay? To Mark's point, go get in the room. Go be at an event. Go get where the people are and do it intentionally, okay? So that's huge. Now let's talk about creating a comeback campaign. Okay, a comeback campaign. Well, what the heck is that? Well, how about, we see these your resumes, the black and white text and all of that. Well, why not have a branded resume? Well, what's a branded resume? Well, I'll give you an example. So, me, I'm a speaker, and I have this thing called a speaker sheet. Okay, and it's basically a high-end, really professional-looking, promotional piece of content. Essentially, it's a one-pager, and it's like a speaker's resume. Okay, and it's not just black and white text like this piece of paper right here. It's like really flashy looking, and it's got my image on it and all of that. So it's a branded, it's got the features that I've been on, Forbes and ABC, and like it speaks authority, okay, when you look at it. So what I want you to do is the same thing, but for your resume, and this is something that you're going to have to hand out in person. You would never hand this. You're not going to apply online with this.
Yeah, you would never upload that.
No, this is not what you apply online with, because it won't make it through. But this is definitely when you go into, if you have an in-person interview, definitely what you bring into the interview. Mm-hmm. You don't bring them, they already got your little black and white text piece of paper. They already got that. You're going to bring them a branded resume, something that looks sharp and professional and has your image on there, any authority. Like, it's going to look phenomenal. And it's going to be like a wow factor. They're going to be like, wow, this is cool. You're going to leave that with them. It's also something that in-person network, when you're doing in-person type things, you're going to leave those. Okay, these are like flyers. Like, think about a promotional flyer, except you're the product.
Yeah, I call it your one-page marketing slick.
Yeah, a marketing piece. Absolutely. Right? So that's one. How about, I remember when we used to go to Frisco Connect and people would do their elevator pitch.
Right.
Right? Well, why not do that elevator pitch on camera? Okay, what is that? Well, that's a video resume. Right? One of the things that we help people to produce inside our Career Transition Summit, we help you to put together a video resume, because what is that? It's a marketing slick. It's a piece that you can promote out there to create visibility, create awareness. And I'm telling you, the success stories we've seen from that thing is freaking phenomenal. Everyone needs a video resume. You have to have a video resume. If you don't have a video resume, we need to get you on camera to produce that, because once you post that, you never know who's going to see it, right? We had Deidre Higgins. She was in the job search, 9 months, something like that, and it was beating her down. She did not want to do that video resume. She was like,
yeah,
I don't want to do
it.
She was resistant.
For sure.
Well, 9 months later, she's like, I'll try anything.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
We did it. Boom. 24 hours later, she was hired. Why? How does that happen? 24 hours later? Are you kidding me? Why? Well, because a CEO that she worked for many, many years ago saw that video and said, oh my gosh, Deidre, you need to come over here. What are you doing?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Man, what a great success story.
Yeah. We have so many of those like that. But guess what? That's visibility. That's what I talk about. If nobody knows you, nobody flows you. Where attention goes, money flows. Mm-hmm. You have no visibility, no attention. You got nothing. That's why you're chasing so much. You need to attract, right?
Well,
that video attracted an opportunity.
Like your banner said or says, I help job seekers get noticed.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And look, your resume ain't doing it. Your resume going into a job board isn't doing it.
No, we need to get you discovered. So again, this is a comeback campaign. We're going to do branded resume. Okay, this is a marketing slick, right? We're going to do a 60-second elevator pitch, but we're going to do it on camera, a video resume. Okay, and we're also going to use Canva to start creating a visual portfolio of some of the work that you've done. Right, you need to have a portfolio. I remember my father in the auto business, or not in the auto business, in the painting business. He had a portfolio of all the different work that he did, right? All this, like a physical portfolio that he would show clients, hey, this is the jobs that I've done, right?
What if you're not into something that's like tangible like that? graphic, I guess.
Yeah, well, you could still create it. I mean, you have stats, okay? You have things like when you go to a company and you're working there, what problem do you solve? Are you saving them money? Are you saving them time? What are your stats? What are the things that you've accomplished for that company?
Sure. Yeah,
Can you
put that into a graphical
Can you make it?
representation,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a physical product.
Right, like pictures of what I've done, right?
Correct.
Like, yeah.
But you can definitely create, okay, think about it. As an example, money. Okay? Money could be represented by an actual physical dollar bill, or money could be represented by an image of a dollar sign or some form of graphic of a dollar bill or whatever, right? So you can create a visual element. You got to get creative.
And then have stats along, right?
Yeah.
To support it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to think about, like, if if you were going to give a presentation, about, you're selling yourself, guys. You're giving a presentation about yourself. What does that look like?
Yeah, you're not going to have a block of text like.
Yeah. Trust
you're
me.
going to have a visual, appealing, easy to read and understand.
Yeah.
Piece. Yeah.
Yeah. You go into the Shark Tank to go pitch yourself. And you're just showing them black and white text?
Yeah, you're not showing them like your LLC articles of incorporation.
Right. You're going to go in there with
the product.
with a visual representation of you.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to make a visual portfolio of you and your work and the stats and the things that you've done and the things you've accomplished. We're just going to create that in Canva, okay? So that's the first thing. That's the comeback campaign. The second thing that you can do is to turn your LinkedIn banner into a billboard. Okay, and this is another thing that I help people with, is optimizing their LinkedIn profiles so that it attracts opportunities. And we want to. That's a billboard, guys. And when you think about when you drive and you see a billboard, it's clear what they're selling. It's clear who they're targeting, and it's clear what they want you to do next.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Crystal clear. And a lot of times less is more.
Yeah, it's got to be. And the same thing with LinkedIn, because you're driving by and you've got seconds to communicate that.
Yep.
People are driving by your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're doing. They're browsing.
Yep, they're browsing. And so it needs to be super crystal clear, the problem you solve, who you solve it for, and what you want them to do next.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So turn it into a billboard. Think of your LinkedIn banner as a billboard, right? Let's talk about a reverse reference request, okay? A reverse reference request. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
Well, that's where you reach out to people that you've worked with in the past, right? And I want you to ask for a LinkedIn endorsement, okay? I don't want you to wait, right? I want you to start letting people speak about you. It's like what we talked about earlier, right? You want to get your network to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So start asking for LinkedIn endorsements, start asking for LinkedIn recommendations, right? And here's a great tip on that. If you want LinkedIn recommendations, I want you to always be listening for compliments. Okay? Anytime you ever give, get ready. If you give, somebody's going to give you a compliment. It always happens. Right? Like if I help you, if I do anything for you, if I give, chances are you're going to get some form of praise in return. They're going to start saying, "Thank you. I can't believe that. That's amazing. I really appreciate that."
So insightful.
Right.
Yep.
Whatever it is, they're going to start feeding some form of reciprocation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whenever you give, you're going to start to receive. It's just going to happen. I want you to listen for it. Okay? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. And when you get that, that's your opportunity to now ask. Okay? I want you, that is the ding, ding, ding. Oh, now is the time to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're praising me. They're saying, "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's amazing." Now I want you to turn around and go, "Hey, you know what? I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me. You know what? I tell you what. Would you mind if you just put exactly what you just said on a LinkedIn recommendation? Could you just write that up, put it on a LinkedIn recommendation for me? It'd mean the world to me." It's that easy, right? So give, listen for the reciprocation.
Yep. Look at your comments on your posts.
Yeah, exactly. And then ask. That's your opportunity. You want to know when to ask? Well, the God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, will tell you. Literally, they'll tell you. You'll start hearing praise. That's your time to ask. Okay?
Yeah,
so
that's great.
That's the reverse reference request, right? Now let's talk about owning your story online. This is a good one. This is what Heather Monahan did. Heather Monahan got let go, and she had built a strong network online, and she was just really vulnerable. And she just put it out there and said, "Hey, I need your help," right? She was vulnerable. So, you could say something like, "Oh my gosh, I was laid off last week. Hey, listen, it stings, but I know my value hasn't changed, just my situation. And I'm exploring new opportunities in X, Y, and Z where I can do what I love. And if you know anybody, please don't hesitate. Connect me with, refer them to me. I'd love that opportunity," right? But getting vulnerable and just saying, "Hey, listen." Because look, people get it. You weren't the only one that got let go. Why does everybody take it so personally when you get let go? It's like you were the only one.
Right. Unless you get canned.
Well, yeah. And sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it happens.
But most of the time it's
a layoff, yeah.
right. So don't take it so personal. Say, "Hey, look, I got let go." There's nothing wrong with it. There's no shame in that.
Well, to that point, who's going to want to help you the most, right? It's not the recruiter. It's not the headhunter. It's not somebody who doesn't know you. It's the people that know and love you.
Right.
Like, and love you.
That's right. That's right.
So why not tap into that group of people, the people that care about you,
Yeah.
right, and want to help you?
So own your story. Put it out there, right? It's owning the narrative, right? You get to spin the narrative on this thing, okay? And, get the word out there. And I would recommend to do that in video, but you could do it in other forms of content as well. You could do it in a written post or what have you. But you need to get the word out and let people know so that they can help you, right? So here's your call to action. For everybody's listening, I know we've covered a lot of stuff. We've covered a lot in this episode. This really, really is a master class in career search, okay? So number one, I want you to start to journal your new career vision. I want you to start visualization is so important. Okay. Like we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, when we said, jotting down the things that the must-haves, the deal breakers, the things that are nice to have, right? Are you really being selective and really putting some pen and pad to that? Because if you're just letting the job search happen to you and you're just kind of like, "Oh, I got to get a job, spray and pray type stuff." No, I want you to be super hyper focused and have a vision, because your focus becomes your reality. And when you can visualize something, you go after it. When you're going to buy a new car, okay, and you're looking at a red Ford F-150, that's all you can see on the road.
It's like not tracking your activity in your job search, right? Track your activity. Like, because if you're not, you might end up back in the same state. You're like, "How did I get here?" Like, I'm just spinning my wheels. You don't, you don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because you're not focused. So the first thing, I want you to create a journal, all right, of your new career vision. I want you to visualize it, almost like a think about it as a career transition vision board. Right? Hell, that's a good one right there. Career transition vision board. Put the logo and some things, la la la. Like we need to get specific. Stop letting it happen to you. Okay? You need to be very specific and visualize it. Okay? It's powerful. Step 2, this is the second call to action for you for this episode. I want you to write down 3 bold steps that you're going to take this week. 3 action items, right? What are 3 main takeaways from this episode? What are 3 strategies, 3 things that you're going to do that are bold, that are going to stretch you outside your comfort zone, that are not going to be easy? Okay? Because sitting behind your computer hitting apply, that's easy. But you see what result you're getting. It's comfortable to just hit the apply button. That's comfortable. You can sit in your PJs and do that. Okay? But it's not getting you results. So if you want results, I need you to write down 3 bold steps that you're going to take this week, and I want you to put it in your calendar, right? And this goes into step 3, which is I want you to now share your vision with a mentor or an accountability partner.
Tell somebody.
Tell somebody. Yeah, 100%. Tell somebody so they can hold your butt accountable and say, hey, what, did you do the 3 steps, the 3 bold action items? Did you do that? Oh, you didn't? Why not? Right?
Or even, how's it going?
Yeah.
How are you tracking towards those 3?
100%. So again, guys, those are the 3 steps I want you to do. Call to action for this episode, okay? Journal your new career vision. I want you to have a vision. I want you to write it down, okay? It's not just good enough to have it in your head. Next step, 3 bold steps this week. Share it with a mentor or accountability partner to get that thing done. All right, guys. I've got one last question for the audience and for the listeners, okay, to think about and ponder before we wrap this episode up. What would the best version of you do with this unexpected space in your life? Okay, you've just been given the gift of space. And what would the best version of you do with that space? Okay, are you that best version? Think about that. All right, guys, that's the show. It's all about who ya know. Bye.